You're herring up Stelvio, you're powering through the bends, you get to the top, you're lucky enough to see an avalanche, and then it's the descent, you're herring down the road, then click, 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 that dreaded click. It doesn't matter if you're on a driving tour, or you're changing your tyres, or you've just been into a service for Porsche. It's a repeated problem that people keep getting all the time. But Porsche just refused to do this simple fix, but it's taken me weeks to get to the bottom of this and solve it. But today, I'll go through, I'll share you my adventure with you, and I'll show you how you can simply fix the problems with clicking wheels, and actually what the click really is. Not all the type of mystery and type of theories on the internet. I'll get you to the real, actual truth of what those clicks are according to the Porsche documents. Okay, I've still got some problems. The wheels are still clicking. I've rung Porsche about this and had a word with them, and they've said it's a really difficult one. Sometimes it can take them 4 or 5 hours to solve the problem. What the guys recommended at Porsche Chess are doing is taking the wheels back off again and actually cleaning this surface here off. Okay, he says they've had to take the whole rotors off before now to get rid of a clicking noise. The bloody bird has made a mess in the car, so I've got to give it a wash. Yeah, I've just put a bit of wood in there to put the pressure on the brake. Got the jack under. I've stood on this, I have to rest on that. And we should. Ooh, bloody hell. Oh, there we go. I've taken the roof off. I don't 100% trust myself because if you look at the gloves, this turns into a very aluminium paste nightmare. So I didn't trust myself getting anything on the fabric of the roof. So for safety's sake, I put it away already. So let's get this off. You notice I've got the foam pad underneath because if you're not careful, it suddenly falls off on you when you least expect it. So yeah, we're not loaded with grease like last time, but these slots here, they're going to need clearing out again. So we'll do that in a minute. Wheels off, so it must be wherever it touches on here. So get the brake cleaner on it and let's clean this off. The whole thing's weird. When the wheel came new from the factory, it's only not that very old, this car, I noticed there was no grease around the outside of here, so I'm going to clean that off as well. So let's get some brake cleaner on here and we'll clean this off. I've cleared this up, there's a teeny bit of corrosion on here, so I've just gone over that with a slight soft brass brush. But it seems, when you look at this, I'm a bit surprised about how many scratches there are on a wheel that is brand new. That's a bit surprising. There's a T here as well. So I was going to read the book again and see what it's, or the manual rather, to see what it says about that. I've done a bit more cleaning. I've removed all the grease off of these. None of these surfaces here should have grease on. None of these should have grease on. I've read the book again. That should be well greased. In here, I've removed all the grease. I've got a little screwdriver into each of the slots, checked it, used some brake cleaner. I got all the grease off the actual flange. The only other area there should be grease on, a very light film, and I mean very light film apparently, on that cone there, just to let it go round. So let's see how we get on. I've aligned the one here, just trying it, with there's a T symbol in there, so I just aligned the one and that together. Punch back on it, let's see how we get on. Check this, it's going in and out nice and smoothly. I mentioned about taking the roof off. The reason is because you've got to stand on the bar, put your hands on here and jump up and down on here, and you definitely do not want to get any grease on that roof. It's all back in. Nothing left but to go and there's nothing left for this but to go and give it a test drive. I've still got a problem on the Spider RS with clicking, but I've done a bit of research on the internet. Apparently behind the cone on the center lock nut there is a thrust washer, and it's got little holes in, and the grease goes from the cone out into there and fills it up, and that's where the clicking noise is coming from. So despite having cleaned off the cone and put a very light misting of grease on it, I've still not solved the problem. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get the wheel off and we're going to take this lock nut apart and we're going to find out if it really is a problem. So we've got it here, and what we've got is the excess grease is going down here and it goes down behind onto the washer down here. And what you can see, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a metal ring behind here. And what we need to do is we just need to lever this off the metal ring. So I thought I was trying to go that way and lift it up. What I need to do is get in there and just move that metal ring off, and this time should just pop up. There we go, that's it. I've got it off. So you can see that in here is the metal clip. So what I'm effectively doing is, originally I had tried going in and levering down the side of the knee and pulling it up. What you've got to do is go in and just get behind that and then push it off like that. That's it. But you can see here, it's a good example now, we can see here. Look at all the grease that is down here, it's pushed in here, and this grease is forming this layer where the popping noise is coming from. And what we've got here is, we've got these little like channels for the grease to channel, but look at these, look how these are loaded with grease. And that is where all the popping noise is coming from, because there's just too much grease here, and that's the problem. So let's just remove the grease, and we should be ready to do. It was a lot easier this time than last time. So I'll spray with a bit of WD-40, get it on there. This grease is horrid, is the only way to describe it. Well, I'm going to have to go back and take the first one back off, because I just discovered the guy on the video was right. There's another ring behind here, and God, is that full of grease. So I'll have to go and get that one back off in a minute. I'm going to remember which is the top as well. So we've got all the bits here, the ring. What I'm going to do is just put a very, very small smear. Make sure you get it the right way. Put that back on. Put a small smear on here. Put a smear of grease on there. So they're all empty now, it's fine. So I'm going to put something on here. We've got our ring. It's probably a bit tricky, this is it was last time. Just trying to get it to go in. We've done it. I think we've done. The only point of this is just to keep the metal surfaces apart so they don't corrode. It's not to lubricate. Torquing these isn't easy. It consists of me standing on the end of the bar jumping up and down. Guess what? The spider is still not fixed. I took it out to the gym the other day. This has been going on so long now, I've even had a new haircut, even though I dislike it totally. Anyway, I took it out the other day, went down to the gym, and it's still clicking again. It's just click, click, click away. Now, I got so frustrated, I put it up onto the Porsche, I think it's called CSC, the Craig Spider Group UK. And some guy, Chris, very kindly said, oh, this is no problem with the Porsches. And he provided me with the official Porsche technical document to do with this. And I'll put it on screen now anyway, I'll just talk about it. Anyway, what it's actually saying is that these surfaces here, the wheel and this steel here, they are actually doing something called cold welding themselves together. So what's happening is the clicking noise, and where it actually comes from is as it loads up under pressure, the wheel, the two metals are welding themselves together and then snapping apart again. On the last video we had, when we looked at this, we could see that there were like very small pittings in the wheel. Now the Porsche documentation recommends that you clean off the wheel. Anyway, reading through the whole posts on the forum, it appears that people have had these cars back to Porsche multiple times and it still doesn't fix this problem, because you've got two metals. Because even when I put that cleaner on it, it's going to have a bare metal that's being cleaned, and it's going against another metal, even though it's got a slight coating off, so it's still not going to solve the problem. Porsche even goes so far as to recommend that if you tried cleaning it twice, then they're going to have to give you a new wheel or a new hub, which seems a bit excessive. Anyway, following this whole thread through and going around the internet a bit more, it turns out this has got the same problem on Lamborghini. So I've got my Lamborghini Huracan Performante over there, and that doesn't wheel click at all. And it turns out that what Lamborghini are doing is they're using an assembly paste, and apparently this is what they use. It's a Volkswagen Group assembly paste, G05210982. I'll put a link in it. Bought it off eBay. It's from the official. This is from the UK Volkswagen. Apparently that creates a very small layer that keeps the two metals apart, that stops the cold welding. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have another go at this. I've actually got the car booked in for next Friday, and it's Saturday at the moment, so I'm going to see if this actually works, and then I can cancel off the Porsche booking. But I'm booked in to see if they can solve it. But I think, hopefully, with fingers crossed, this should finally solve this cold welding problem on these alloys. Yeah, as for jacking the car as well, I need to point out something else. It turns out, reading the forums, that quite a few people have recommended maybe putting the car at, well, not the car, the wheel, at 700 Newton meters to tighten up. What I found out reading that was that it introduces micro cracks into your wheels and can destroy them. So you mustn't go over that 600 Newton meters. I think it's £443, but do not take what I say with as truth. While I'm doing this, you're going to ask me, if this works, why aren't Porsche doing it? Well, the issue that the dealerships face, the OEM dealerships face, is that they have to follow the official Porsche guidance, and that does not recommend any of this compounds at all. So they're in a bit of an awkward situation whereby Lamborghini use this compound or similar to put on their two, and actually this center locking nut mechanism, I've taken it off the Lambo as well. It's identical, it's the same one. So Porsche and Lambo apparently seem to be sharing the same, even the key works on it, even is sharing the same mechanism. But on Lamborghini they use an assembly to stop the clicking, and Porsche don't. They just keep insisting on, the dealerships keep polishing it. I don't know why. I've got the wheel off, it's all sorted. It came off pretty easily. It starts raining now. If you look very carefully in here, these type of what we see as little marks here, that's like the pitting, the micro pitting. That's actually apparently the cold weld. Here, these little bits of pitting, that's the cold welding. So that's where it's going wrong, and you can see all the way around here. Also, it said, let's turn the wheel over, some people have welding inside of here, but I don't seem to be too bad on that one. So I've cleaned off the inside of this very gently, as I did before. Put brake cleaner on it, that's looking nice and clean. I've cleaned this very gently. Cleaned off the nut, and we'll just put a new smearing of grease onto this. Greased the centre lock nut. I put the compound on. I put a very thin smear in it, just like a, I think it's a Molly, that MO2 or something. I've got that compound on. Now, the other thing I noticed in the Porsche manual for the technical, that it said that it had to be a smearing of grease around here, so I'm going to do that as well. I'll grease the outside of there. That's all been cleaned off. That's been cleaned on the inside. We'll tighten up here. Now the next thing I've learned as well is the wheel must be torqued in one clean motion. You can't jump up and down on it and try and get it to click in at the torque mark. So that's going to be the next challenge. I've done that as one smooth continuous torque. That worked well. Doesn't look like there's much paste popping out. I'm going to put a bit of cleaner on it. Clean. Important that the wheel has to be off the ground when you torque it as well. Check is that working properly? Yep, all done. Wheel clicks checked. Take it for a test drive. I won't be able to tell on the first test drive because unfortunately you have to drive quite a while before the clicking reappears. So I think by about Saturday, probably about Wednesday, I'll know if I fixed this rather. It is going to be interesting if I have actually, because why the hell aren't Porsche doing it themselves? But we're going to find out. Bear with me. So really, the solution to this was quite simple. All you need to do is take the wheels off. That's a job in itself. Get them off, get the brake cleaner, spray it on the inside of the brake disc flange, spray it on the inside of the wheel as well, clear off all the aluminium grease or assembly paste if it's there. Get one of the Scotch-Brite little pads, carefully just go round and make sure you just very lightly sand it back so you get rid of any of the cold weld pitting. Do the same on the disc flange as well. Make sure you clean off the outside of the actual screw type of pipe there, or flange or whatever it is. Then coat that very carefully with the VW assembly compound. Grease the inside of the thread with the aluminium specialist lubricant as well. I would spray off the actual nut itself with brake cleaner, get a little screwdriver, get it out of those little slots as well, and then carefully re-grease it with the aluminium grease, and then put your assembly flange compound on the inside of the flange on the wheel, reassemble it and torque it up, and the job's done, it's fixed. I can't believe it's actually that simple. Anyway, the number's down below for the compound serial number. You can get it from a VW dealership, or I bought mine off eBay. Until next time, guys, bye.